Are you paying attention? Good. If you're not listening carefully, you will miss things. Important things. I will not pause, I will not repeat myself, and you will not interrupt me.
The set designer for the Imitation Game was Marina Jerkovic, the same person who did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which won Best Set Production. For Alan Turing's house, Jerkovic knew that at the time Alan Turing was studying morphogenesis, which is the study of why natural things create patterns, and she knew that he was studying this, so she felt it would be fitting if she fit his whole house and his study room with all these pictures of patterns that he actually had in his study at the time. The pinnacle of the film was Alan Turing's machine, the Bomb, which was later named Victory, but in the film they called it Christopher. In order to get a sense of what it was like, they actually went down to Bletchley Park to see the real computer that Alan Turing had made. Upon doing so, Jerkovic realised that the computer was actually too small and she wanted it to be a lot bigger, and she realised that Victory, as it's now called, was actually encased in a large black box, but she wanted it to be big and sort of filling the room, and you wanted to see all the motors moving, you wanted to see every wire, every nut and bolt in it. So she got rid of the case completely, and she just built the innards of the computer and made it a lot larger than it actually was. When looking at Alan Turing's sketches for Victory, she realised that there was an annotation called this red thing and black blob. This made her want to use red instead of brown in the film. She said that most World War II films normally have a sludgy, browny kind of colour to them, but she wanted this to have a vibrant red. She made the floor in the design room where the team actually designed the computer. They made the floor red. They made the floor in the production room where they built Christopher. They made that red. They made the wires hanging out of Christopher red, even though the computer wires are actually hidden away and kind of not as red as she made it. Like maybe there were one or two wires in the actual thing, but she really wanted to make it stand out as if it were the veins and the nerves of the computer filling with blood. She wanted to make that visual representation. Jerkovic drew her designs based on what Alan Turing had done as well. None of it was made up, she just changed it a bit to not have the casing on it, whereas Alan Turing obviously had the casing and had it all protected inside. She wanted to have it open up like a book because it's the main story of the film, so it made sense to not have it encased in this boring looking computer, but instead as like a wondrous thing, like what is this? She wanted to make it really sort of awe-inspiring. When doing my research, I found some of these set design sketches. This one, for example, is for the bar scene, and we can even see that all the chairs in this picture are exactly how the chairs looked in the actual scene. I'll show you it now.
Helen Stewart, Hugh Alexander.
So who do you agree with, Alan or myself?
Well, Alan, of course.
This set is for the production room. This is where she sketched what the production room would look like, so where they actually built Christopher itself. This is the exterior of Joan Clark's house, and this is the road he walks down.
In the lives of most of us, we are at war.
The computer made for the Imitation Game ended up being £30,000, and they actually used iron and stuff like that to build it, and it took teams of 3 for 5 weeks to build Christopher for filming. Jerkovic didn't actually follow the rules of the era. She said that there are set rules that you should follow when doing a different time period. Like she said that most houses in the 1940s would have floral wallpaper, but in this, what she wanted to do was make the wallpaper a mixture of dots and dashes, which, as we know, is Morse code. It's a slight little touch, and no one could really pick up on it. It just adds to the atmosphere, and it didn't follow the general codes and conventions of 1940s set, so it was good.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
With Game of Thrones, they said if you're asking an audience to believe in direwolves, dragons and giants, you need the world to be as believable as possible. This meant that because it was fantasy, every detail had to be looked into with the set, and very often they'd have 360-degree sets when filming, so in scenes like the gladiator combat with Khaleesi overlooking it and when she flies off on the dragon. That was a 360 film set. That wasn't just a front on or a side on shot. It was the full Monty. They used the whole thing. And it's the same with Castle Black. Castle Black was actually built, and then the film crew went inside and then filmed it all, and the set was all around them, so there was no real limits to what you could film, because you could just film from all around the inside, and it was great. They searched around the globe for different places to differentiate the character storylines. So for Khaleesi, they went to a sunny kind of country with lots of Aztec pyramid buildings, and then for Jon Snow in the Night's Watch, they went to Belfast, and where it was cold and where it was just sort of grass and not very sunny. For example, for House of Black and White, that was filmed in India, and then Palace of Dawn was filmed in real Alcazar. I think I said that right. Dothraki are quite a primitive race, so when I realised that the set designer took inspiration from the Canadian architect Arthur Charles Erickson, it really amazed me a bit, because when you look at his buildings, they've got big glass pane windows. I mean, the building itself is quite, I guess it could fit in with Dothraki buildings, but I was just a bit shocked. In terms of how they made it, the Great Wall is made of polystyrene, and they put hot wax over it to make it look like ice. The set designer actually said that the most important person in the Game of Thrones set is the plasterers who make everything look real. They chisel all the little bricks in, they make everything look proper and detailed, and if they were to build a brick wall, they'd make it look like a proper wall, and it's just the detail they put into it which helps us realise who it is. They said that in a medium shot of a person, you should know by the set where who's going to appear. Like, for example, if you showed a character who was, let's say, Khaleesi's servant. If you showed Khaleesi's servant against the set, you should know that in a few moments you're going to see Khaleesi because of where they are and how detailed it looks.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when we're part of the team. Everything is awesome when we're living our dream.
The Lego Movie used animal logic, who replicated the articulation that real Lego figures have, the way their arms move, etc., the way it doesn't sort of fold across their body. I mean, sometimes it does, but for most of it, it'll be stop motion, like made to look stop motion, with their arms moving the way a Lego toy would move. They also used cinematic camera angles, including having a Steadicam simulator, which followed them throughout Lego City. The Lego company actually used their digital designer, who used an official Lego brick library to simulate actual connection of Lego bricks. So everything you see in Lego Movie can be built if you have 15,080,333 bricks handy to you. So good luck with that. And then when they built the actual building, whatever they were building in this program, they'd import the files into Maya or XSI to animate them, to make them move and explode and whatever they wanted to do with it.
There's no reason why you should move. Right. Just moved and you just wrecked it. You wrecked it!
When it came to the figurines, Mike Miller actually brought in his own figurines that he had when he was a child, including a 1980s spaceman who had a cracked helmet. And they wanted to put these figurines under a microscope so they could get every microscopic little dent, every bit of dirt in the joints of the Lego figure, every sort of crack and snap in maybe the plastic. They wanted to get all of that to give it a played with sort of look. They wanted to make it look like real figures, and real figures wouldn't be pristine if they're being played with. So the astronaut had a cracked helmet, which you see in the film, and that was done by placing it under a microscope.
And always be sure to keep the soap out of your ass!
In terms of aesthetics, I really liked it because they had different realms. They had a cowboy, sort of old western realm. They had a fantasy fairy tale realm. They had a big castle tower realm. They had ninja Lego realm. So the style in each sort of realm was different, and I really liked that. So it wasn't just Lego City. It was Lego sort of Western Tavern. It was Lego Big Skyscraper, Lego Cloud World, and it was good.